Twice in 1 week. What madness is this? Welcome, everybody, to Geek the F Out. I am Luch Johnny.
Hi, I'm Kayla, aka Silver K. Every time you use your username, it messes me up. And we are joined by the one, the only, the lovely Mr. Ralph. Welcome.
How's it going?
Welcome. Good. Long time no see.
Yeah, it's feels like it's been like a month since I've seen you guys. It's been like 4 days, something like that.
Yeah. Kind of crazy.
It's been a crazy long week. I was just telling Johnny, like, Stevie got sick on Monday. I was pretty much got sick on Tuesday. I'm still COVID free. Have yet to get it. I took a test today because I woke up with a crazy headache and a sore throat, but feels better now.
I've had a weird throat thing, but I don't feel sick, so I don't know what's going on.
I think my sinuses are acting up, and I'm doing a lot of mouth breathing, snoring in the middle of the night, and I wake up with a sore, dry throat and headache.
Yeah,
My sinus.
that could be it.
Always acting up, but
Yeah.
So far, I feel great. I'm not tired anymore,
good.
so that's good. I was very happy that I did not get sick. I think it's safe to say it's been 5 days since I've been out there. So
I hugged every person that came to that place. People came from all over the world, and I hugged them all.
Yeah, so you're most likely to get sick out of any of us.
I know. It didn't happen. So,
all right. Well, thanks again for joining us.
Yeah.
How this is going to go is we're going to talk about season 6 in review for the first little bit, maybe for like 30 minutes or so, something like that. We can go over that time. And then for the rest of the time, we will be talking about the premiere. And yeah, so let's get into it. Johnny, overall, quick thoughts about season 6. Did it meet your expectations? Also, real quick, if you're watching us for the first time, this is the first time Johnny has watched Lost all the way through. So we have popped his cherry. So
there's nothing to spoil at this point.
no.
And he's watched the new man in charge too. So
right.
Yeah.
Even though we asked him not to.
Yes.
Yeah, I promptly forgot. But then Kayla texted me and said you should watch it because you're going to need to watch it
before the
premiere.
I don't think it made really entered into the. We do bring it up in extra features and stuff, so you'll see that then. But.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if it was gonna be or not, so I figured. And then also like with talking to people, and then if someone mentioned like, Walt is going to be the new man in charge, and Johnny would be like, what? Which you still did that because you're like, I didn't get it.
I don't know. I went back and watched the conversation with Hurley, Ben, and Walt, and that's just not the way I took it at all. I don't think that he's like, because all Hurley says is you want a job. Like, he doesn't say like, but what job?
To take over.
Like, he could just be another advisor. He doesn't give that indication, though. I don't
It's called the new man in charge.
Yeah, because Hurley is the new man in charge. Because that's what Ben walks into that Dharma factory and says something about the new man in charge. The new man in charge is making changes. Like, Hurley's the new man in charge. As far that's the way I take it.
Yeah.
That's how I interpret it.
It could be then, but they could also, be preparing Walt.
Yeah. It's not impossible that it could go that way and Walt could be the next man in charge. But I think that is about Hurley and his first acts as the keeper of the island.
But Hurley moved on in the afterlife, and Walt was not there.
Yeah, but
So
we don't know
gave Walt
when.
the job.
Eventually, probably, but they,
Mm-hmm.
Hurley could have done it for 20 years before he passed away.
Yeah,
and met them
and he totally could have, and he could maybe not age like
up. Yeah, that's true.
Richard.
'Cause, yeah.
Same with Ben. I don't know. So yeah, overall thoughts though
Same with Jacob.
on season 6.
I liked it.
Johnny.
I didn't have any issues with it aside from we talked about
Boy.
this a little bit. Just some flow stuff and just the thing with I really liked the Richard episode where we got his backstory about him being on the Black Rock and that's how he got to the island. But like I said, and it was cool, but it seemed kind of like a weird time to do an episode that didn't really move the plot forward. It was just all background information for Richard. And then the same thing with the episode around
Across the
Jacob
sea.
and Unlock, where the Man in Black, I keep
Right.
calling him Unlock because he was not Lock. That one, yeah. Like right near like what the third to last episode. It
Yeah,
just
it's a
feels
little
like
late in
it
the
was a weird, and it's probably
Just
one
a
of
little
those
late.
things. The things that they talk about, they show the cave. That's where they show the golden cave for the first time, and
Yeah.
like
The Golden Cave, the heart of the island.
yeah, it's probably not something they wanted us to know about before then, but it again, it was probably, I think the way I put it, it was probably the best place for it, but not a great place for it. Like,
All right.
Yeah. I mean, do you feel like it met your expectations, exceeded them, didn't
Did you
meet
understand the finale better this time around than the first time?
oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
them? That's my other question.
Absolutely.
That's good.
Yeah, because it wasn't two separate stories that were all the same characters but didn't seem to have much to do with each other going on at the same
Yep.
time. I had all the background now.
I could not imagine just watching that episode. So crazy.
Right.
And to be fair,
Crazy
like
tits.
I remember like I wasn't intently watching it when Chris and Coleman were watching it when it aired. I was just kind of in the room and happened to be half paying
You were-
attention to the TV.
In the room where it happened.
Yes,
Literally.
yes, and waited 20 years to actually watch the show myself.
Well, 14, but yes.
Or yeah, 14 because yeah, correct.
Since the
Since
end.
the premiere,
Also-
since the debut is 20 years.
Quick hello to
Oh, yeah.
Allison, long time no see, and Mr. Derek,
Hello.
also long time no see. I was just in the Toy Habits chat, and they were in there. Let's see. Oh, you already did finale versus now. Let's talk about the people in the church, because obviously some people weren't in the church. How did you feel about who was there and who wasn't there?
I mean, it was just so I just looked at it like it's just the main cast. It's the people who basically have been there from the beginning with some exceptions. I'm trying to remember. Was Juliet in the church?
Yes, Juliet's in the church.
The thing that
So,
made me
like-
go,
I mean, is Charlotte in the church?
I don't think
I
any
don't
of
think so.
I don't
Charlotte
think
Charlotte and
and
Faraday aren't
are
in there. Miles isn't in there.
yeah.
Obviously, Walt and Michael aren't in there. Yeah.
The thing that had me scratching my head is why was Aaron a baby?
Yeah.
Like if this is everybody meeting up in this this constructed afterlife dimension before they all move on to the actual afterlife, heaven, nirvana,
whatever it may be.
Valhalla, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
Why was Aaron a child? Because presumably, if he's there, he's lived his life and died. So
That's a
he gets to
great
spend his
question.
afterlife as a baby.
I kind of interpret it as, because he was literally just born in these flash sideways. So I think he was just there. I don't know if he's necessarily moving on, or it's just kind of like a fake baby Aaron that's not really
Just a
gonna
better
be
fake
moving on.
baby than a squirrel
Yeah.
skull and some leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah, squirrel baby.
Squirrel baby. I don't know. How did you interpret it, Ralph?
It's tough to say because I have different information based on the interviews that we did, and that information hasn't come out yet. But
So they talk about it.
no. There's just a thing. It's hard to say. I do have a theory. It's not. I can't really bring it up now.
Okay.
Maybe once Blu-rays come out, we can hit up a live stream again and discuss that. But
Okay.
it appears that everybody in there is people who were basically as is on the island,
Yeah.
more or less. So I'm not really sure if
So like whatever state they were
so here's
on
the
the
thing.
island last.
It's a place that they created according to Christian. It's a
Mhm.
place that they created so they could all be together.
Mhm.
Maybe nobody's seen Aaron as a grown-up.
Yeah.
So if you're going to create a place,
I find
how are you
that
going to
hard to believe, especially because Kate, I'm sure, has.
I mean, I have thoughts. It's
Okay.
yeah, I can't talk about it on the stream. I talk
Okay.
about it after maybe.
Okay.
But I'm just saying it's just as far as like this place that was created has to do with like clearly something with the island.
Yes.
And maybe since Aaron was only a baby on the island, that's how he is interpreted in the afterlife.
Yeah.
He's muted.
Ooh, Johnny.
I'm looking at the scene right now. So I see Saeed and Shannon are there. Rose and Bernard, Boone, Juliet and Sawyer and Locke. And they're all on the left-hand side. And then on the right-hand side is Desmond. I can't tell if Penny's there with him. It looks like she is.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
Um,
So like,
Charlie-
because someone had said it was everyone who was on the plane. I'm like, no, there's some people
Yeah.
there that weren't on
Yeah,
the
like
plane.
Juliet and Penny weren't on the plane.
yeah.
And same with Desmond.
Charlie and Claire are there, and Jin and Son, Jack and Kate, and then Hurley and Libby was also there, and then baby Aaron. So
Baby Aaron.
and Christian. I mean, Christian's in the church. He's the one that goes and opens the doors, obviously.
Yes.
Um,
Just. He shepherds them into the afterlife. That was so funny when I think it was Kate that's like, Christian shepherd. I'm like, you're not wrong. Questioning that. And obviously we know that the church and these flash sideways are, essentially kind of a purgatory. Not what happens on the island, obviously. That all happened. So kind of an in-between place. But it's interesting because on the island, when Hurley sees Michael for like the second time, he like hears the whispers and he's like, oh no, I know what these are. And Michael pops up and he straight up says to Michael, he's like, oh, you can't move on. That's why you're here. And that's, these other people. So it makes the island also seem like an in-between place. I mean, it could, I don't know. So that's something that I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
This is going to be the hardest episode for me to like talk about the Lost because of information. Because when we did the movie, I don't know if I brought this up, but some information was given to us, not necessarily like, you know, stated in the show, but it's information that the show doesn't contradict. And I don't want to bring it up yet, but because of this information, it changed my entire perception on the series as a whole, including what's going on in this last season with the Flash Sideways. And I don't know when I could talk about it in public. It's tough to say. I have theories, but I'd have to give up certain information for it.
What about your theory before you learned all of this, though?
I wasn't really into it. I really wasn't into Lost, the finale, as far as like, I liked the finale and what it did. I did not care for the fact that this whole series has been man of science versus man of faith, and it appeared that they decided to go with faith, which is me personally. I'm very, very against. Well, not so much faith, so much as organized religion, but the fact that it takes place in a church kind of threw me off. And so, like, as I understood like what the ending is, and I like the ending and what it represents, and moving on to another plane of existence and all that stuff is fine. The fact that it took place in the church was like drawing a line in the sand, saying this. There are certain things that I've come to learn that help me view this series more on the man of science side of things, and how to kind of, and this is mentioned in the documentary where Damon Lindelof says, you know, we're supposed to be going by Michael Crichton rules, but we really want to go by Indiana Jones rules, where it's like, you know, everything should be grounded in science, but we really want to have like ghosts and stuff. So for me, the whole thing with man of science versus man of faith was fun, because anything that seemed sort of mystical, or anything that seemed kind of outside the realm of science, it was fun to try to figure out a scientific explanation. So when you look at like Faraday coming in, like here you have like a John Locke who's just like, I've seen the part of the island or whatever, and it was beautiful, and it's mystical, and it's fate, and it's all this stuff. Then you have someone like Faraday coming in.
He obviously didn't see. I mean, we're guessing he saw the smoke monster at that point, but you know, the way he describes it makes it seem like he saw the heart of the island that we see this season. But anyway, sorry, continue.
But it's one of those things where I'm like, I always liked this show because it never really drew a line in the sand. So for it to end in a church, I was like it's a church. But I have theories based on some information that I feel like lends this to more of a sci-fi ending. It's fun. It's fun.
So I was asking in particular about Michael and them being on the island still, though. Not necessarily the ending.
Well, we know with the new man in charge, it sounds like Hurley is in communication with Michael. And so I take that as
he'll let them move on.
Hurley's going to move on. Michael and Walt are not in the church, which leads me to believe that it is a happy ending for Michael in whatever form he takes, whether it's the Whispers, whether he can like physically see him. Because I know Hurley can see dead people, like we know that, and so he's communicated with Michael. So the fact that that Hurley may have found a way for Michael to actually like be visible, to communicate, and be with Walt leads me to believe they're not in the church, because they're going on living their life on the island, just the two of them. And they are, I mean, that's the happy ending, because that's all Michael ever wanted. and that's what that's all he needed. And as far as I'm concerned, Vincent's still around, so I'm thinking here we are, like 14 years later, and those three are on the island still, like happy as a clam. So I think that's why they weren't in the church.
Okay, but what about Michael saying that he's there because he can't move on? Because that makes it seem like the island is purgatory, and the other whisperers are also stuck there, and they can't move on.
I mean,
I don't think it's purgatory, but I'm saying, what do we think it is then if they're there on the island and can't move on?
You know what? It's probably the smoke monster. Like the whispers, I believe, are the smoke monster, because a smoke monster could read anybody's thoughts and knows everything about every person. And so you have this thing where
you think
we've seen
Michael
the smoke monster manifest.
Monster,
I don't know, but I think the whispers can be, because if the black smoke can make Kate's horse based on her memory, or Nadia the cat from Saeed's memory, or most likely Christian Shepherd, it feels like the smoke can do anything. Smoke can do anything it wants, especially if it's able to mimic all that stuff.
So you think Michael was lying about the other people that were stuck there?
I don't know. I feel like Michael.
Because he specifically says that.
But if you're talking about, like, if Michael's dead and the smoke monster's the whispers, then the smoke monster could be any form and could say anything that the smoke monster wants. The smoke monster, this is really tough to talk about because I have it all figured out. And I'm really, really not sure.
Because obviously Locke isn't there at that point. Whatever this happens, he's somewhere else.
Locke's body's like laying on the beach somewhere.
No, Unlock, sorry.
Oh, Flock, the Man in Black.
Flock.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the one that people would talk about back in the day, was fake Locke.
Yes. Because in that scene, he's somewhere else. So, and you hear the whispers, and then he sees
the
Michael.
Whispers. The whispers show up around Michael, right? Like while Michael's like you hear the whispers and then Michael shows up.
And then
yeah. I think they could be the smoke.
I think that they're just stuck.
Turning to Yemi.
Yeah. So you think Michael was the smoke monster? Because I mean, Michael seemed to be on Jacob's side with how he was telling Hurley what to do. Same with Richard's wife. All these people. I think they I'm interpreting them as being there as ghosts like we think of, like they haunt houses or they haunt places, so I'm thinking that they might just be there on the island, and it's not so much purgatory, they're just stuck there.
I think that ghosts are a mystical thing, and I'm looking at it from a science point. I believe that the smoke is nanobots that can do any form. It clearly can make sounds. It can clearly talk. And so I'm trying to make it.
So you think it can? So you think Unlock or Flock could have, the smoke monster himself could have split into two different beings, or just two different?
Did we see him?
Smokes?
Did we see him both at the same time? Because there's that.
I think whatever scene is before
smoke,
or after, he's not there.
Yeah, but there's that one scene where the black smoke goes behind the building, and then Locke walks around the corner. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, but that still doesn't make any of that make sense.
We'll talk in a couple months.
Okay.
We'll talk in a couple
months. Do you know what I'm trying to say though?
I'll explain it to you after we're off the thing.
Okay. Do you know what I'm trying to say though?
Cabinet. Just go look.
Hi, Stevie. No, yes, no, maybe so. No. Okay.
I don't know.
I tried.
I don't like ghosts.
Well,
I like science.
Okay. I don't think you're listening to what I'm saying, but that's okay.
I don't know. Someone needs to.
I'm not saying it's exactly ghosts. I'm just saying, like how ghosts haunt places, like they're stuck there.
Right.
Because if he's saying they're stuck there and they can't move on, that obviously makes it seem like a purgatory-like place. And like, I understand the flock theory, but flock wasn't there at the time. Unless he can break off into several beings, then also why would he help Hurley, first of all? And second of all, why would he be all these other people too that also help Hurley?
Just riffing off the top of my head, knowing what, like, it's entirely likely that based on everything that we've seen them do, there's no indication that it can't. Jacob plucked these people from the afterlife, wherever they were, brought them to the island because he knew they would need to be there for things to go the way that they were supposed to go. Like, he needed Michael to talk to Hurley. He needed Ricardo's wife to talk to her. I can't remember
Isabella.
How does
Isabella.
How does tall ghost Walt appear on the island and appear in front of Shannon when
Like
he's either off island or in the other's camp?
That,
I think that's different though.
yeah, because he never said anything. He just was an apparition.
He did to Locke.
Oh yeah, he did. But that could.
He told him what to do. But I think that's part of Walt's power, or I don't know. I kind of interpret it as like Walt's ability, but also he was on the mainland, so that doesn't really make a lot of sense because he wouldn't know what to do unless, yeah, obviously someone decided to purposely take his form, which, you know.
And we're also dealing with time travel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who knows if
Psychic echoes.
real Michael.
Yeah. Like kind of like how like Desmond can send his consciousness forward and back.
But why would it happen to Michael? Who knows?
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, he just made it seem like, you know, people were stuck there, so that's just how I'm interpreting it for now. Anyways,
but I mean, the Man in Black also said he was stuck there. That he just wanted to leave.
I feel like he was different because
he was alive.
Didn't have a body.
Well, yeah, true. He didn't technically.
Yeah. Well, he wanted to leave when he still had a body too.
Yeah.
And so that's why he tinkered with the heart of the island. Anyways, what else? Do we want to quickly talk about, like, I don't know, I guess the most important characters and their journey of the people who died, at least? I guess we can start with Jack.
Like I said in our stream on Wednesday, he ended up exactly where he needed. Like, he was literally the perfect man for the job. Like, his entire story from the first episode to the end was perfect. Like, there was nobody else who could have done it. Like, it's a shame. It's actually a shame that he ended up like dying immediately after he did what he needed to do. Because I feel like he was the perfect candidate to be the next Jacob. If they need a next.
But I
Jacob.
love my favorite thing, and it might be my favorite Matthew Fox performance, is when he tells Hurley, "It's always been you, Hurley."
Yeah.
That whole thing I really enjoyed. Because like of all the people who crash landed on that island, like a lot of them are really fucking broken. Where I feel like Hurley
which
was
is why
the least
Jacob
broken.
chose them.
Yeah.
I mean, he's when he tells them, he's saying not just because they're broken, but because like they feel alone. And I think Hurley felt isolated and felt like his bad luck just rubbed off of everyone. So like if I was in his shoes, I wouldn't want to be around anyone either.
It was almost like he was like Willy Wonka, and he was sending out golden tickets. Because if you watch Willy Wonka, like he 100% picked every single child to be there. Otherwise, Mr. Wilkinson, aka Slugworth, wouldn't have been at all those locations. And so
Johnny, are you okay?
God damn it, Ralph.
The last one is given to Charlie, and who was the good child. Like, it was almost like he knew all these broken people were gonna like fuck up during this tour. And he's just like, I just need Charlie to prove himself. I know this kid can see these other kids and not be influenced. And then, so what's up? What did I do?
It's just fucking Willy Wonka on an island.
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way, but now I won't be able to think of it any other way. It's just Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory
pretty much
on a tropical island. Fuck
yeah, and then kids fucking die. You're not wrong.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I watched Willy Wonka the other day. I think it was the night before the premiere. I'm like, I need something that's like the opposite of Lost. And
it ends up being the same thing.
Well, the thing is, it's like he clearly knew where he was sending the tickets, because Mr. Wilkinson pretended to be Slugworth. Mr. Wilkinson worked for Wonka, and he was at every single kid, like talking in their ear. So it's like these kids were.
I clearly need to rewatch this.
The kids were candidates. Because there's no way Slugworth would have known where all those tickets were. He had to be working with Wonka to know where all those tickets were, because he went to like Montana and Germany and wherever the fuck Charlie's from. It's like, it's like one of those
America.
It's just it's supposed to be, but it's like a Dutch village or something. I don't know. And if you watch, we were watching it, and if you watch the Candyman guy, Charlie says, "I'll have one more candy for my Grandpa Joe." Like, that candy dude was like, okay, I need to make sure I give this to an unselfish kid, and this kid who came in wants just to get one more candy bar for his grandpa, and he picks up the one that's like set aside and is like, here, you take this one. And that's Hurley. Hurley's the good boy that saw everybody's bad influences, and
he's a good boy.
Yeah, he never really strayed from being a good guy.
Yeah, and I think like we were talking about before with Jack telling Hurley, like, it's always been you. He also follows Hurley for most of the season, and I think like a couple of the other characters comment on it. It's like, Jack isn't the leader? What is this? He's following someone else. So yeah, I think his story was definitely concluded. He did what he needed to do. He let go. He let go and let others take charge, So, yeah. Obviously we don't know how Kate died. But I think between her raising Aaron and then in the flash sideways, she's still, obviously everyone has this pull towards each other, but when she sees Claire's like photos in the bags, and she's immediately like, fuck, I just left this like pregnant lady and stole all her stuff. Like, she has a conscience. So like you can see how she's changed because of the island and because of, also what happened off the island on land. So for those 3 years. So yeah, we don't know how she died, but as we can see in the flash sideways before they move on, we can see that she's she starts to make good choices, and once again she helps Claire deliver her baby at the end. Just like
all of those sequences are amazing. I love all those ones where their flash sideways versions touch each other and then spark all the memories from the island. It's really cool. Juliet and Sawyer's being the best one.
Let's go Dutch.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Feel in the feels, all in the feels. Yeah, who else do we want to talk about? Sawyer. Yeah, once again, we don't know how he died. Interesting to see him as a cop.
Oh yeah,
Him and Miles.
Yeah, him and Miles. They were great. And I think because, he wants to atone in a way for all the shitty, illegal things he did. I think that's why he's a cop in the Flash Sideways. Yeah. It takes him a little longer than others to figure out what's going on. But, I feel like his story, especially with what happens on the island, he goes from being obviously very upset after Juliet dies and very mad at Jack and wanting to kill him. And, I think because of that time he spent with Juliet in those 3 years, that by the end of the season, he does, want to do the right thing. He does still look out after himself for some parts of it, but at the end of the day, he does come around to the good side. What did you guys think?
Big fan.
Sawyer.
Yeah.
Him as a cop is very strange. I like him as a cop.
Right? Yeah, it's different.
Yeah. He's actually I hate that, and I said this at the beginning of the season, because remember at the end of last season I was like, I don't think Juliet's dead. We don't know that, we don't see that, like, if things work, she's not dead. And technically I was correct. The best kind of correct, because she was not dead at the beginning. She died in the first episode.
Right.
But I really hope that they didn't kill her just to give him a reason to be an asshole again throughout this season on the island.
I don't think they did.
He was just a sad sack with his stains.
Well, he immediately starts fighting with Jack again, and like Kayla said, he says he wants to kill him, and then he goes and pouts in Dharmaville for most of the season.
That was funny because he saved, which was very smart of him. He saved their memories under the floorboards, because obviously 30 years later, people are going to come and go from that space, so he can't just like leave them in a dresser. So he was smart and put him in the floorboards.
He gets down to the point where even Kate is like, "Yeah, I can't. I'm out. I can't do anything. I can't help you."
Yeah,
like she leaves him behind without a fight. She's just like, "Sawyer's not coming." Very un-Kate.
Yeah.
Right.
But Cop Sawyer, I dug. Although it is questioning why he's a cop and he knows what's going on. Oh no, we talked about this because he lets Kate go on the elevator, but it's because he doesn't want anybody to know that he was in Australia.
Yep. Figured that one out. I guess we can actually talk about Locke's story. I mean, it was cool to still have Terry O'Quinn in the show after Locke died. Right. I think that was really smart of them. I mean, I think no matter what, he was going to be along or still be there in the show because, you got to have the dichotomy of good versus evil, man of science, man of faith, all that jizz.
So,
yes, Johnny.
I feel like this is one of the things that is not as apparent watching it now versus watching it while it aired. I feel like him as that character in that role, like that's part of the reason people watch the show week to week is because of him and his performance as Locke or as Unlock. So, and
Yeah.
that's one of those things that doesn't necessarily translate as well to a binge watch as it does while it's airing. Because again, there's not the conversation and the discourse from week to
Right.
week about, oh, he's great. This character's crazy. Look, what's he gonna do? Where's he gonna go? You know.
I think even without all that, you can definitely see that there needs to be a physical body, and it needs to be someone that we know, because I couldn't imagine if he was a whole new character being
Right.
brought in. And once again, there is already the tension between him and Jack, so it's perfect how it works.
It'd be one of those things. It reminds me kind of like, there's a couple shows. I think that was this way with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Lost has never really done credits that way, but like in Buffy, in the first couple of seasons, it's like so and so and so and so and Allison Hannigan and this person and that person, and then in later seasons, it's like Sarah Michelle Gellar and da 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 and Allison Hannigan as Willow. Like that's when you know that character and that actor has become more important to the show than like the lead in some cases. I feel like that's one of those things. In later season, it probably would have been and Terry O'Quinn as Locke, etc. But that's just.
I've never noticed.
I think what's fun about him. I think what's fun about him is that, I mean, again, we've gotten 5 seasons of Locke, and it's nice to see like a refreshing new version of him. Also, if you know Locke's dead and Man in Black's going to take over his persona, like that's the person to do, because people trust Locke on the island, you know. But then when they start finding out that he's not necessarily Locke, people are like, oh, okay. They kind of start
just
stepping back Homer Simpson into the hedge.
Yeah.
But I mean, listen, like it's a new flavor of Terry O'Quinn. We get to see him do something different, and it's still just as good. It's just now he's just like a crazy smoke monster guy, and it's like, oh shit, he's like Locke, but like also whatever the smoke monster has going around in its brain, you know. It's kind of fun.
Like, I think Locke would hate that if he found out that his body was used.
It was he was being used again. His body was being used again. His dad took his kidney. His dad pushed him out. Like, Locke's never really had control of his life, and now it's just like, even in death, he doesn't have control of who he is. His character is sad up and down every single step of the way. It's never good. And I think it's kind of like one of those things where it's just like, that's how evil the Man in Black is that it's like using dead Locke, to do what he wants.
Deadlock.
It's hard
Lock,
because
deadlock, and unlock.
I feel like obviously through his death, it definitely influenced everyone coming back to the island. And, you know, Jack even says this season, you know, Locke was right, like, you know, and tells Unlock, like, you're not Locke, like, Locke would never, you may have his face, but, like, you'll never be him, and ends up complimenting Locke, which we never would have seen in a million years before this, and obviously shows how far Jack has come too. But it's hard because he obviously wanted to kill himself, but Ben ended up killing him. I don't know, like I feel like his journey was pretty complete in a sense, because he was the one to get everyone to come back, and I think that would satisfy him in a way, and to see everyone else, like especially like Jack and Sawyer, come around to things. But yeah, it was cool to still see Terry O'Quinn be in the show, but for Locke himself, the character, I don't know. Like, do you feel like he fulfilled his journey kind of just like, or like other people had before they moved on?
I feel like Locke was pathetic from day one. Even when he was a little kid, and Richard Alpert approached him and said, like, laid down like the knife and the other thing, and he picks up the knife and he's like, "Nah, kid, you don't got it." And then like the
Mm.
rest of his life, he didn't have it. He worked at a box factory. He couldn't go on walkabouts. He got his kidney taken from his dad. He got thrown out a
Mm-hmm.
window. His life has just been shit the entire way. And then he goes and like gets killed, and just he's just like now he's just like his body is just this like empty vessel conduit for the Man in Black to take over. Like it's just like his story is there's no happy side to the story, but I mean some of it's his own fault. He could have settled down with Helen, but he was so
Yeah.
obsessed with Anthony Cooper. There's a lot of things where he needed to let go. He needed to stop
Yes.
you know believing in the island. He should have been like Rose and Bernard. He got healed, he was given a gift. Just kick back, let everyone else do the fighting, just enjoy your life. Don't try to force this belief in the island amongst your followers, because you saw what happened with Boone. So it's one of those things
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, dude, you do you, but just kick back, dude. You're given a gift.
Mm-hmm.
But much like Jack, they can't let it go. They can't let it go. And it's like if
Yep.
if the Man in Black's going to be an antagonist to Jack, like of course that's the face you want to take, is the guy who butted heads with him for 5 seasons. And it's another bad decision from Locke to allow himself to get used. It's not a happy story. I like the character Locke. I wish he was happier, but a lot of this he brought on himself, and it's a cautionary tale. Like, listen, just be happy, do your own thing. Don't meddle with other people's affairs. Don't try to get people to think how you think, because he's the dude that's like, don't tell me what I can't do. Meanwhile, he's
Yeah.
telling everybody else what they should do, and it's like, dude, you got to do what you preach. You can't just be, he's. I mean, it's mostly his own fault. It's mostly his own fault. But
Mm-hmm.
Terry Quinn, I mean, is amazing at this character. And I think
Mm-hmm.
when he gets taken over by the Man in Black, there is a definite change in who he is,
Yeah.
that I think is very good, because it is fun seeing him as a flat out villain, you know.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
In a show where
Agreed.
like Michael Emerson is like the greatest TV villain of all time, like Terry Quinn in the final seasons like outshines him. Um,
Yeah.
I
I mean,
yeah,
and that works too because there was a lot of Locke versus Ben as well, and now
right,
there's Unlock versus Ben.
right.
Um, what did you think, Johnny? Do you think his story was complete?
Yeah, I think so. Ralph makes a lot of good points about him just being pathetic and not having control of anything except the the only thing I can think of is that he did do what he wanted to do in the end, which was bring everybody back to the island. And
Yes.
he was flat out told that to do that he was going to have to die. And he did that willingly. Like to the
Right.
point where he was willing to hang himself. He didn't end up having to. Ben did it for him, but
Yeah.
His his faith in the island also, he like, I'm sure he understands like the island needs a protector, and he was clearly like, if it wasn't for him, like Hurley and Jack wouldn't have gone back. Like
mhm.
Jack goes through the whole we have to go back thing after seeing Locke's body. So it's one of those things where it's like indirectly he is the one that sort of got Jack back to the island and Hurley back to the island. I think Jack understood that he needed to protect Hurley. That's why they are hanging out a lot, and essentially is just guiding him to that light. Yeah, I feel like his story's complete. It's one of the things with the show is, though, a lot of the stuff you get after seeing all of it, because at the time you're just like, oh, just Locke's just a pathetic man. But
Mm-hmm.
even in death, he did have a mission, and that mission did work. So
Yeah.
the show definitely benefits from rewatches. which is one of the reasons I like it, is, you know, people say, oh, they didn't answer all the questions, but you can't start filling in gaps, and you can't start like rethinking the like interpretations of like what it means. What does this conversation mean? It's really strange. Why does Hurley tell Jack while they're walking around? Why does Hurley say, I always thought you'd make a great father? And then in the flash sideways, Jack is just somehow a dad. So like, you got to think, why are those connected? Why does Hurley think Jack would be a great dad? And then all of a sudden in the flash sideways, Jack is a dad. So there's things to think about. It's, you know, I feel like Locke's story, it served its purpose, not only by getting everyone back to the island, but sort of getting Jack to see his side of things.
Yeah, I feel like everyone kind of served their purpose. I feel like Hurley's story was pretty complete. I don't feel like I have much to say except for, you know, it's great to see him be the man in charge, and then Ben be his number 2. Speaking of Ben, why do you think that he wasn't ready to move on? Because of like all the bad shit he did?
I mean, we're taking this section, the flash sideways, as an afterlife. Alex is a student of his, and he probably wants to spend more time with Alex. Like, he's not ready to move on. Like, I feel like he was given a gift in this flash sideways to be able to, even though it's not as a father figure, which he never should have been a father figure to her because he kidnapped her, but he is able to live in this place and be able to see her every day after school. And they have a good relationship.
Except for she's going to go to college pretty soon.
if
she's
that's
taking
how it
her
works.
AP.
Yeah. But I mean, if you said, if let's say she's going to college in 2 weeks, like Ben Linus is like, I would like to spend that 2 weeks with her, you know.
The only thing is they created this place out of time and space. So I don't think it has anything to do with like what just happened necessarily. I mean, obviously it's so he can be there, but also I don't know. I feel like it could be reason. Any sort of time. Like, I guess so. Wants to spend more time. If there's a place,
because I mean, she got like shot
properly, kind of be.
She was gone, and now he gets to see her.
Properly, kind of be her dad.
Like but he just like, it's like, you know, what parent wouldn't want, more
time.
Yeah.
They hinted at,
that makes sense.
They hinted at Daniela and him, like Danielle maybe having some.
About to go out.
She said. He said they were talking something about dinner, and she said something about next time. And it's like, well, just assuming that he's going to come back.
Yeah, she was definitely kind of hitting on him. And then, like, he started crying, and she was, like, comforting him. And she's like, I'll put in less onions next time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're totally going to.
Yeah.
And then he'll be her actual daddy. Instead of daddy with an I. Okay.
And then maybe just Ben feels remorse and doesn't feel like he should be given the opportunity to move on.
Yeah.
Maybe it's his penance is to live here for a while.
Yeah. It totally could be. That would make sense. Saeed. What do we think about his story? Kind of sucks to see him have that darkness come into him, even though it's not really Saeed, but he still chooses to save all of them, so he's still in there somewhere towards the end. I don't know, I feel like it kind of did a a disservice to his character in a way, especially with the Flash sideways. You know, he still kills all those dudes, but at the same time, I feel like the Flash sideways with his interactions with Nadia and then finding Shannon at the end really showed that, like, he was definitely supposed to worked better with Shannon because Nadia never liked that side of him, and I feel like Shannon, like, accepted that side of him, and, you know, yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think about Saeed? His
I feel
journey?
like Saeed was kind of by the wayside. Like they didn't know what to do with him.
Yeah, because
unfortunately,
he gets shot, and then the resurrection. He spends most of the season as like a zombie. Like that was one of the things about, like, he was so nonchalant about things and like melancholy and just, you know, like, again, like a zombie about things because of the corruption that was in him, until, and he's like that all season basically until he has to disarm the bomb, and it's like we've got Saeed from season 1 back, and it's like it's just a weird shift that he just snaps out of it. And maybe that's the point, you know, all these people there that he has cared for such a long time are in danger, so it snaps him out of his funk, and he ends up running away with the bomb and arsting himself.
So I have a fun story about that episode. Jorge was back in town because they were done shooting in Hawaii, and he was going to be on the Jimmy Kimmel show. So me and my sister went up to go watch the show. We went and hung out backstage with Jorge and his family. And then afterwards, after they were done taping, we went to our friend's house where we watched that episode. And I'm sitting there on, like, everyone's sitting on the couch. I'm sitting on a chair behind the couch, and we're all watching that episode of Lost. And it was weird because I kept seeing Jorge, like, kind of look back at me every time to see how I was doing. And I was like, okay. Like, and then
what's
like,
happening?
Shannon's son and Saeed died, and I'm like, oh, that sucks. But I didn't really feel anything about it because it's like it's just how it happens out of nowhere. And I was just like, oh, that sucks. And like afterwards, he's like, how you doing? And I said, I'm fine. I was like, I don't know if he was expecting me to be like super sad, because I think that was the first time we actually watched an episode together where it was like the first time I had seen it. So he was in a room with people who were going to react to this thing that he made. And I kind of felt bad because I was like, oh, maybe I should have been like more sad about it. But I was so like kind of like baffled. Like, I'm like, why couldn't Jin leave? There's
we talked about that when we went through the episodes. It's very frustrating because they still have a kid. So I get that you just told her we're going to stay with each other forever, but you have a child.
Right.
Sorry, go
that
ahead.
Kid will take care of her. It was one of those things that's one of those like lost memories where I'm just like, and then another one was, so then like a week later was Across the Sea, which is the Jacob and Black episode, and it was just like, what am I like? Where are my characters? We have like 3 more episodes left. I don't care about Jacob and the Man in Black. And so luckily for me, so that was on a Thursday. I think it was on Thursdays then. Like 2 days later, the next day, they were showing the penultimate episode at Royce Hall after Michael Giacchino did a concert. And so luckily I got to see the second to last episode like only 2 days after Across the Sea. And I remember going on like one of the blog spots and saying like, okay, everybody listen, everything's okay. The next episode's awesome. I can't talk about it, but I was like, okay,
hang in there.
But luckily I only had to wait like 2 days to get to see that episode. And that was cool because I was sitting next to Jorge and like and like Josh Holloway was in front of me, and Daniel Day Kim was like right behind me, and Malcolm David Kell. Like I was surrounded. Like I was Jorge's guest, and so we were in the like front section with just like the actors and their families, and I was like sitting there watching the second to last episode of Lost on the big screen, and I could see like Josh get up and like leave to go to the bathroom or something. I'm like, what is my life right now? But it was like it helped make up for like sort of like how I felt nothing about their death, and how I was like, why am I watching this, Jacob? Why are we waiting like doing a whole hour on this? And then I was like, okay, because like that penultimate episode and then the finale, the end, I'm like way on board. I just wish they could have put that stuff, the other stuff, somewhere else. Like the across the sea stuff. I always thought like maybe they could chop up that storyline, put it at the end of each episode, like the Black Freighter in Watchmen. Like maybe just sprinkle it throughout and then all comes to a head. But it's like, what do you do? Like it has to be in there. That story has to be in there. But what
I
do you
don't know if
do?
all of it needed to be in there. We talked about that a little bit when we discussed the episode. I don't know if all of it, but I think some parts were important for sure.
And so there's a lot of important information, but it's just also like, how do you do it? Do you just put in a little bit at a time? Like it's really hard because like even when the way they're doing season 6 is people have to like wrap their heads around what is going on in the Flash sideways, and you can't really drop this other fucking weird thing in it at the same time. And so it's like it's just the placement was like, maybe if they did it like smack dab in the middle of the season, like maybe after Abaturno and like
maybe
or the rest of it, I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. I know I get all the story in pieces. I've seen Across the Sea once. I never went back and revisited it. I got it.
Wow. I'm shocked.
I remember the information. Like I don't need to like stop the momentum of the survivors of 815 and just stop to do this. In fact, it might be a great thing to watch. Like if I watch it again for a rewatch, like watch it first. No, watch it first.
Too. There you go.
The whole thing's a flashback. I know how the whole
you could
story
watch
goes.
that and then Richard's episode, Avatar. Yeah.
Well, somewhere out there is a chronological version of Lost.
I was gonna say, is there a chronological order?
My friend from college who I made watch Lost senior year when we were roommates, she told me about it. She's like, yeah, I want to go back and watch. Apparently there's a chronological version out there somewhere.
But it's like when it gets to the 50s, it's the scene with like Locke being born. Like it's like just that scene. Like it goes like through everything. And I want to say
that's so cool.
I want to say that the 1977 stuff happens in 1977. So it's like it's all out of whack. Like it just sounds like it's hard because it's like 118 episodes or something. So it's going to be another like long watch. But I mean, if you already know the series inside and out, I think that'd be a fun way to watch it. Because structurally, it won't make sense. Like if you watch that for the first time and all of a sudden like Hurley's in the 70s, you're like, I don't know who this guy is. It doesn't work that way unless you've seen this.
Definitely.
But I mean, you'd already at that point, or would it be later, where Hurley's working on the car with his dad? Like, when was Hurley born? Is it before the 77 or was it after? Like, is there two Hurleys in that timeline? I don't know. It hurts. It hurts my brain.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't want to try to figure it out. We said we would talk about this for half an hour. It's been an hour. Real quick, let's talk about Sun and Jin, and I think that's pretty much it for like, the candidates.
I wish they could have made it.
Yeah. And once again, really stupid that Jin had to die too when they have a child.
There's an interview in our interview with Daniel Day Kim. He it didn't make it into the movie, but I'm sure it'll show up somewhere where he explains that and talks about that. And when you're sitting there across the way from Daniel Day Kim and he's telling you the meaning,
it all makes sense. You just look into those eyes.
Like, yeah.
Yes.
You just look at those cheekbones and you're like, okay, yeah.
I'll agree with anything you say.
So hopefully we can get that out there. But it is one of those things where it's like the way he said it, it's like, oh yeah, of course he stayed. I'm like, no, you have a kid. Also, a kid is like none of this is real. Everyone makes bad decisions. But it is one of those things where you're just like, yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah.
It's so you were saying like your reaction to it wasn't that drastic when it happened, and I didn't really like. You're not gonna get that kind of emotional hit either when you have an alternate reality where those characters are still alive and you're still seeing them every episode.
I guess that's true, yeah.
One of the things that really hits with deaths in shows sometimes, I think, is because you're attached to the character. When they die, you're not going to see them again. Yeah. That's not necessarily the case with this show. With any character who dies, you're going to potentially see them in flashbacks or as apparitions or through time travel, or alternate realities. Like them dying on the island sucked, and it seemed like most of them died for no real reason except they didn't. There wasn't anything else for them to do, so let's kill them off. Like Saeed and Sun and Jin, all in like boom, 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 just gone.
At least Saeed had a purpose for dying in a sense, but Sun and Jin
teased us with Lupitas too. Like we thought Lupitas was a goner because that fucking door just slammed into him, and I'm like, oh, not Lupitas. And then he was okay, and I was happy.
He's great.
Yeah.
But so I don't know if the deaths carry quite as much weight, just because we're still gonna see Sun and Jin and Saeed.
I think
the flash, as you call it's such a weird term to me, flash sideways, because it's probably one of those things that catches on over when you're watching the whole season and people are talking about it that way. But to me, in my brain, it still doesn't fit right. It's kind of like I'm like, it's just an alternate reality. It's like headcanon.
Yeah, but you got to keep with the flashback, the flash forward. It has to be flash something at this point.
We're
see 6 seasons in.
I can see that. But in my brain, it still just doesn't. It twinges something the way headcanon does.
Makes you twitch a bit. I think in terms of their story, I think Sun is able to finally, stand up for herself, especially stand up to Jin and, tell Jin how she feels. And I think Jin has definitely come a long way, from who he was at the beginning of season 1. And, I think if this scenario had happened at the beginning of season 1, I think he definitely would have left her, but for selfish reasons, not because of a potential kid, Yeah. I think his caring for her and him seeing how much he hurt her, all that kind of stuff. I think he's come a long way for sure.
Yeah. And it was nice. I mean, actually seeing them together after they were gone during the flash forwards and stuff. They were apart for so long and on the freighter, and it's like, geez Louise. Jin was also on the raft and was gone with the tail section. People they were gone so long that it was kind of nice just at least. I think it would have sucked if one of them survived, honestly.
Yeah.
Because if
that's true.
Jin or Sun were on that plane, it would be depressing. So I mean, I get it, but at the same time, it was like,
you have a child.
I don't know. It's tough. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah. It's tough.
All right. Any other final thoughts before we talk about the premiere?
No.
Johnny?
No.
Last thoughts?
What do you think of the series? So, for all those months, we were telling you, Johnny, you need to watch Lost. Johnny, you need to watch Lost. Johnny, I'll come on the show as soon as you guys start talking about Lost.
Yeah.
Now that you've watched it, what'd you think of the show?
It was good. I wish I would have watched it when it was actually airing and been part of that whole like phenomenon. I don't know if you're gonna have shows resonate the way that this one did, like especially with streaming and the way things are released now and the lower episode counts of seasons. I don't know if you're gonna have something that was historically a phenomenon, so the way that this show was. Because I do think, I mean, Game of Thrones is the latest thing that came close, and then
they fucked that shit up.
Well, this show kind of has the same reputation, warranted or not, that they botched the ending. That's like the biggest complaint. People complain that I think the ending's fine. Like, I also thought the last season of Game of Thrones is fine, but again, that's something where I wasn't watching that Game of Thrones week to week at that point. I had stopped watching Game of Thrones around like the 4th season. I just fell off and didn't watch any more of it until after it ended. I went back and binged the whole thing. And I think that last season of Game of Thrones works much better as a binge watch than it did the way, you know, waiting week to week for the episodes. I think that was a lot of the complaints, because I watched the end of it. And I'm like, what were people complaining about? Like, it's not that awful.
It was bad. It was. You're alone. You're alone in thinking that.
I just have low standards. But I wish I would have been part of it when it went out. But it was cool to be able to do this the way that we did, and then be there at the premiere for the 20th anniversary.
Listen to me sobbing next to you.
Yes.
And I think like that's part of it too, is like, obviously, to your guys' credit with making the documentary, I feel like you did truly capture how it felt to be a fan back then, and you know how much not just the show meant to the fans, but you know how much these communities meant for each other. You know, a lot of people at the time, including myself, were going through a lot of shit in their lives, and this show and these communities were, you know, a great escape, like a great way to feel not alone during these times and make life suck a little less. And I think you guys did an incredible job of capturing how that felt, and also, just everything, to go into the documentary itself, everything about it, the start to the finish, the flow of it, the music, all the interviews, it was just perfect. Like, I could not have asked for anything else out of a Lost documentary. I think you guys hit the nail on the head for sure.
It was tough because for the last almost 3 years now, I think November will be the 3-year mark where we started working on this. One of the things, it's like people were like skeptical of us finishing, skeptical of it even happening, you know, because they, you know, I don't know, people were just like, this isn't going to happen. We've heard other like documentaries and stuff, and you know, it was really, really tough. And also you have like the entire fan community putting in their 2 cents. Everybody has their own story with Lost, and everybody has like kind of what they want to hear and see in a documentary. And it's like, well, I mean, we can't do all of it. There was a point where we did have a cut that was twice as long. But it's one of those things where it's like, we're going to have to cut stuff out. This has always been feature length documentary. Nothing crazy. It wasn't going to be a series. And it was one of those things where it's just like, I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know how it's going to play. I watched the movie at least 7 times leading up to the premiere, like that week. Like I was watching it once, even twice a day just looking for things, glitches, spelling errors, formatting issues, all kinds of stuff. And it's one of those things where it's just like you get to a point where you're like, you hand it over to the theater and you're just like, okay. And so I was a complete mess over the weekend. I didn't really go and do anything because people were coming in from out of the country and from around the country. And I was just like, I want to go hang out with everybody, but mentally, I need to watch Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory at home with my wife and be
Yeah,
quiet
yeah,
and not get sick or not get burnt out. And it was
totally.
really just everything was like, you know, the suit is pressed. Okay, that's off my checklist. I need to take my charger. I need to pack clothes for Monday. I need to, like, it's all these little tiny things on top of the fact that you're like, I hope the fish biscuits make it. I hope the polar bear makes it. I hope the ticketing system works. I hope people like the physical tickets that I created for the event. I hope, yeah,
Yes, they're
I hope
so
the
cool.
marquee, I hope the marquee that I worked on Wednesday looks good up on the big screen. I hope the poster that Phil Shelley made looks good in the window display. Like there's all these things. I hope we're
Hmm.
able to get the red carpet out. And I have people telling me, like, I want pictures of the red carpet. Can we get pictures of the red carpet? I'm like, I don't know, but I hope so. There's a lot of like sort of I told this to Emily and Taylor afterwards. I'm like this is nothing short of, I would say this is nothing short of a miracle, but we work so hard that it feels like a disservice to us to call it a miracle because we worked our butt off to
Yeah,
make sure this stuff happened. And Emily
totally.
was really focused on the premiere and the after party and stuff. And so when I showed up at 2 in the afternoon to go help see if the polar bear could get kind of get a lay of the land because I
That
had been in the
video of the
theater.
polar bear,
Yeah.
so
So I
funny.
had so like I had been at the theater before. I looked around and suggested it to Taylor and Emily. I said, "This is a pretty good place. It looks like a place you'd
Hmm.
want to throw a big premiere." It was built in like 1938, and I was telling them. But then at the time,
Wow.
like when they started coordinating stuff, I'm like, "Do we have room to put tables with fish biscuits? Do we have a room for a polar bear?" And so I was like, this crazy mess. Um, on Sunday, we had access to the theater at 1 o'clock.
Hmm.
I think it was I think it was at 1 o'clock. So I got there. Stevie dropped me off. I was standing out front with a box of stuff for Indiegogo perks. Um,
Hmm.
I was just literally standing out front with my backpack and just being like, okay, like this is it. They let me in and I set the box down and I'm just like, oh, everything is going through my head. Every single thing is going through my head. And as I'm like trying to just like focus and think if like make sure I checked off all the boxes before the day, I hear Jack
Hmm.
Bender's voice coming from the other room. And I go, holy shit, they're playing the movie. And so like
Uh-huh.
at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the theater is completely empty. I walk in there. I'm the only person standing there, and the movie that I've been working on for almost 3 years is now the first time I've seen it on the big screen. The first time I have seen it like complete color graded with the surround sound mix, and I was just like, "Oh, it's gonna be okay." And then
Yeah.
the polar bear came in, and then the fish biscuit showed. And I went and I put on my suit, and then it was like this huge wave of relief that everything was falling into place. People were getting their tickets, people were getting in, the VIPs were getting to where they needed to be, the celebrities were
Hmm.
going because we had Cineplex there. Cineplex, who's like the Fathom Events of Canada. They
Hmm.
were there shooting interviews um, behind the screen for like the the cast so that they could show this before the screenings in Canada and stuff. Like there were so many moving parts, and then it was like, okay, Joe's up there, she does her auction and introduces the
Hmm.
movie, and the lights go down. I'm like, oh shit, here we go, and like right off the bat starts with Jorge giving people the spoiler warning. Um,
Hmm.
if you haven't
That
seen
was
Lost,
great.
we're going to ruin everything. You have been warned. And everybody laughed, and I'm like, holy shit! I'm in a room with 400 Lost fans, and they're all laughing at the very first thing you see, and I was just like, I sat there, and it was like trying to take it all in, and the cup holders in the seats had a big old hole in the bottom,
Yes,
and
they
so
did.
the little the little pack of Kleenex had fallen through, and I could not find it, and I was like
Oh
panicking because
no.
like people were laughing and people were cheering. Like there's a shot of my cat from 14 years ago, and everyone went oh, and I'm like, what is
Yeah.
this? Is it this the energy in the room that night was so insane,
Yeah.
and I had like by the time the night ended, my body was sore, and I think it was from tension. I think it was from every single emotion at once just being forever present within me, like the whole time.
Yeah.
Like like anxiety and happiness and nervous and like sad. Like there's sad stuff in the movie, and I've known the sad stuff's been in the movie. There's stuff in the movie that makes me angry. There's bits in there where I'm like, this is a story that makes me mad. And
Yeah.
I remember, because it pretty much goes chronologically. I think Stranger in a Strange Land is the only bit of the documentary that's not chronological. But when everyone's talking about finale, oh shit! I just got a text from Jorge. He's rewatching the doc right now. Honest to God.
Aww.
So everyone was having such a good time, and Evie's talking about the finale. She gets the final word on her thoughts of the finale, and everyone claps and stuff. And I'm like, oh shit, here comes the bad news. And I'm like, we've been having such a good time for the last hour and a half, and we're just gonna like have to talk about this thing. Great. Now he's live texting me everything. He's 2 seconds in.
Tell him to come here instead.
He's watching it. So here's the thing. After everybody loved it, everybody said everything was handled perfectly, which is like amazing to me. Jorge came up to me after the movie. I mean, he got emotional about the movie while during the Q&A, which told me a lot. And we had a conversation, and he said how much he loves the way it was handled. And he's been bugging me all week. He's like, I've been talking to my mom, wants to watch it. My wife wants to watch it. I want to watch it. When can I get a screener? I said, Taylor should have a screener for you by Friday. And here we are. And it feels good. It feels really good, because no one had a bad thing to say about the theater, about the fish biscuits, about the ticketing. There was some chaos with the 2 lines for sure. But like people got to go on the red carpet and got good seats. There really wasn't a bad seat in the house. And it was just one of those things where it was just like it felt like it was. I was relieved that it was done, but I was just shocked, like really shocked, like how many people just really responded to it. Because I don't know, because I know that there's stuff that was cut out that I really like. There, I'm like, but they don't know they're missing it. I have to remember, they don't know what they're missing.
Yeah.
They're gonna get bonus features, and the bonus features are gonna be fucking awesome, because I know what they are. And it's just like one of those things where it's just like the whole thing. From the time the movie ended and we got to the Q&A, it was just a blur.
Yeah.
I shook every hand. I gave every hug. I smiled as wide as I could. I'm not like one to like do a whole lot of smiling, but it was just like everyone was in such a good mood. And it like this week has just been nonstop getting tagged in pictures from the red carpet and pictures from all the events surrounding it. And, it's just like, God, it's hard to process, because it did take like 3 years of my life thinking about it like every single day. And for it to be, have it be paid off in the way that it was just amazing. Going to Letterboxd. It's been up on Letterboxd for a couple months, and I'm just like, like at some point this movie's going to be on Letterboxd, and I got to read the bullshit reviews. We got a 1.5-star review for someone who said that the series should have ended after season 2. And I'm like, well, that has nothing to do with me, dude. Get out of
Yeah.
here.
Can you like what's the
Yes.
word?
Report. Yes.
Okay.
Like
Yes.
I that one I was like, I don't think this person watched the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, clearly.
Talking about the series. And so I think they removed that. But it's
They have
one of
a
those things
keyboard
like,
and they're using it.
yeah, it's so I mean, I got to see friends. Johnny came last minute. I've seen Kayla, I've seen you before, but
I've seen you before.
I met Johnny in person for the first time. I met a lot of people for the first time in person. And it was one of those things where I'm like, people are coming from Chile, from France, from Germany. Like people are coming from the UK, all over the world, because me and Taylor made a thing they could look at for 2 hours. And I'm like, that's a lot of pressure. It really is. It would have been really shitty if people were like, yeah, it's pretty good. Thanks. Yeah, it's awesome. Like, he was great. But no, people were like genuinely like excited about it. I could see it in their faces. And I had a little bit of a conversation with Jorge at the after party, and it was like, okay, like it matters. To me, it also matters more to the people who worked on the show for 6 years. Like, is this honoring them? And according to Jorge, it definitely was something that he was really happy with. And he's a close friend. I've known him as Jorge longer than I've known him as Hurley, but still, every once in a while I watch less, I'm like, oh shit, that's right, that's my friend. It's hard
that's my friend.
Like it's one of those things where like you put a lot of trust in Taylor's hand to like craft this thing, and he's got his ideas of what we need to talk about, and he has his board filled with sticky notes and stuff. But it's like, at some point, it was out of my hands. Taylor is the director. Taylor is the editor. I do have input, but I don't have final cut. So there was also this thing where it's like, Jorge is my friend, and Lost means the world to Jorge. I hope what Taylor does also like is cool with Jorge, and so it was, and Jorge loved it, and that's like all I can ask for, because I didn't want to like disappoint a friend. And so it's just been absolutely wild, like the response it got. So if anybody has seen the movie and are on Letterboxd, go ahead and give us a review.
I need to do that still. I'll do it after this.
Even like Hector Navarro, if you follow like Hector Navarro on Letterboxd, like he's pretty strict on things. Like he's really strict. He gave us 5 stars. And when I saw him at the after party, I'm like, oh, make sure you do Letterboxd. And he's like, oh, I already did it. I give you 5 stars. He said, honestly, he said, I know I'm in it, but honestly, what you guys did and what you got across, like as far as encapsulating a fandom and a pop culture thing, like he said, like you guys did it beautifully and you handled everything perfectly. And I'm like, fuck, okay.
Agreed.
Like that, like stuff like that feels good when you know people who can be harsh on movies, or people who have like definitely like good tastes and stuff. And it's good to like where you're like, they genuinely enjoy the thing you worked on. It's crazy. Like I've never had anything that popped like this. Like it was awesome. Caleb's in the chat. Caleb became a huge part of the story.
All the love.
And he's one of those fans that's like diehard fan. He lives and breathes Lost, and so much so that we got him to be in the movie. But I feel like Caleb didn't know what the edit was going to be like. Caleb didn't know if he was going to be in the movie at all. But it's one of those things where it's like he loved it, and I felt like, oh, that's all I need is the Calebs of the world to love it. And like Joe and Erica, both Ericas and Bills and everybody who's out there who's a fan, I'm just like, I need to just make sure like these core people that I've been following for 20 years, I just need to make sure that they are happy. And they were all in that room, and so I was like extra nervous. I'm like, oh no, they're all here. I could see my friend Steve laughing at jokes. I'm like, okay, good. Okay. And I could see, because we sat in the back, we were overlooking everybody, and it was just like, people were sitting, and it was just, magical. It was really magical. And yeah, so I kind of regret making vagina jokes on your live stream, and I wish they could be taken out. But
Honestly,
it's
it
because
would
what
not be our live stream if that
I
wasn't the
know,
place for
but
you
I
to do
felt
it.
so weird because I'm like, oh, it's you
I
guys, and you just hear
honestly,
me talk.
I blacked out the entire interview, so I'm so glad we live streamed it
Yeah,
because I don't remember jack shit.
yeah,
I
yeah.
was
It wasn't a
just
good joke either.
all nerves, all excitement, all adrenaline. But I'm so glad that it went so well for you guys, and that I mean that's how. Yeah, I mean, like I said, absolutely loved it. I don't want to give too much away for anyone who hasn't seen it yet.
It's
Besides telling
funny.
you to go see it.
It's a funny movie. Like, there's a lot of stuff.
It's
Like,
great. You'll
I
laugh,
was,
you'll cry,
yeah. Look
you'll
at that. Look at that.
everything. That was
The
from
placement
night
of that.
2.
The placement of that poster. I was holding the posters and they're like, guys, take a picture. I'm like, block my
Perfect.
tummy. I'm not. Yeah, I need to do something about my tummy. And those
Yeah, me
ankles. I
too.
can't do
I've
You
anything
seen
and
about
those
those
me,
pictures.
ankles.
you and me both.
Yeah, but see,
I
I
saw
don't
some of the
look at.
pictures
I
of
mean,
me, and I'm like, I need to ride my bicycle more.
yeah, I need to. There's extra stuff I need to do though.
Life's too short to not eat yummy food and
I know.
watch
Like
shows
I
instead
went
of
and got.
going and
I went
working
and
out.
got groceries. I went and got groceries yesterday. I'm like, we need groceries. I'll get out of the house. I'm not feeling well. I'm gonna go get the groceries. Got dinners for like the next week and lunches and breakfasts and all kinds of good stuff. And right before I jumped on, we went to Carl's Jr. So it's just like,
Yeah. I'm
and
about to DoorDash some very unhealthy food after
I got
this.
stuff to make burgers. And it doesn't take long to make burgers, but I was just like, I don't have the energy. This week has been kind of
Totally.
like, my brain was
You
mush
should
leading up
treat
to the movie,
yourself.
and it's been mush since the movie. But it's all starting to sink in. I keep again, everybody tagging us in like Instagram stories and stuff. It's just amazing.
So
Um,
good.
I
Yeah.
ate bad when I was there. I had In and Out, and I
Yep.
had Hawaiian barbecue, and the griddle,
Yep.
and Fat Burger. Like,
Fat Burger. I was just telling Stevie, Fat Burger is so good, but it's so expensive.
it really is.
It's nuts how expensive it is. You probably
I
spent
did
like
end up
at least
ordering
25
it Sunday
bucks.
night. Yeah, it was good, but yeah. We have a selection of photos here. Kayla sent some, and I pulled some from the link
Yeah,
that Mark
see.
sent us from somebody's. I think it's
It's
the this one. I love this photo.
Yeah.
Is awesome.
Yeah.
The way the theater's lit
it's
up
very
and
cool.
the banners that you made.
Yeah.
Yeah, those banners. I said this a bunch that
So
night
good.
because it was like my go-to story because I was overwhelmed. Was that Taylor was disappointed last week when he found out that it was a digital marquee, and I told him, I said, I can just make it look like the one where you put letters up, and he's like, okay, but can you make it like we ran out of a letter and had to use like an upside down 3? I'm like, absolutely. And I was like, I'm gonna put in a red. I'm gonna put in a red E because there's always that. I think the red E was my favorite.
I like that.
The one in the
Nice
one in the
touch.
center just has the crooked exclamation mark point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I can see that.
The backwards 3 is over here.
Yes.
yeah. I just did one on each. I said,
When you were
do you want me to
saying
go
that you
nuts?
ran out of E's, I was like, how? It's digital.
Yeah, how funny is that?
So
But it looked
confused.
good. It looked good. The theater
yeah, it
owner
looked
was
great.
just a bundle of mess the whole time because we were taking over his baby. He was just like on edge the whole time. When I came out to show Emily the marquees, he came out and was like, "Whoa, how'd you do that?" And I'm like, "Just Photoshop. You could just."
You're like,
And he wanted me to send him
big
the
deal.
file, and I'm like, maybe I could send him at a price, but it turned out fun.
yeah, it looks so good. And it's cool. You can see the poster lit up too in that picture. So good. So good. Yeah, and I credited everyone for their photos in our post too. There's my shoulder.
Yeah, with Taylor and that's Andrea in the background, right?
Mm-hmm. And the Dharma fish biscuits. It was delicious. I ate mine.
Yeah, I was gonna save mine, and then it like broke into 3 pieces in my bag, and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna eat it now.
Mine surprisingly only stayed broken in 2 pieces because I accidentally broke it before I put it in my bag. I still ate it.
It's funny because you look at these pictures and they look like it's at night, but it's like broad daylight.
For a good chunk. Yes.
It sounds like I am now I'm doing a during screening Q&A with Jorge.
There's us with
and then us and
Mark.
Mark, who was gracious enough to help us with the camera while we were streaming. And then just
come
us.
Up with questions too.
Yeah.
Yep. Because we also met for the first time IRL.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
From our seats.
It's funny how it's funny sometimes you don't know how it's gonna go, but with everybody that I met from just like doing this stuff, it was all just like we've known each other in real life the whole time.
Yeah.
So I made these out of a scan that Taylor did. John Mancuda gave us an actual Ajira ticket and an actual Oceanic ticket, like from
the
really house. Yeah, because Jonathan worked with the prop company to do the auction, the lost auction. So I went in and I altered it. I obviously put world premiere, getting lost. We left the name blank so that anyone could like write in their own name. But I altered this Oceanic one at the serial number at the bottom, where it says 3 and then 007. It used to say 005. And it still says that on the Ajira ticket, but I wanted to drop in a 007 because I could.
Oh.
So that's a little
sneaky.
So that's actually not on the boarding passes in the show. It was a 005.
Gotcha. Love that. Oh yeah.
I did that art
and the
on
popcorn.
Tuesday.
Nice.
Got my logo.
I think
up there.
there's probably a video after this.
Yeah, I have
fish biscuits.
Separate.
Did you eat your fish biscuits?
Separate.
Yeah, you must have been answering Jorge. We were just talking about
it.
I was gonna save it, but then it broke in my bag, so I'm like, I'm just gonna eat it because then it broke.
They're pretty good. It has almost like like an almond taste or something.
That just remind me of sugar cookies.
Yeah, they're good. And they turned out so good. They were like barely screen accurate. Yeah, there's me and Taylor.
Yeah.
And my hernia. That's the thing with my tummy. Is I got that extra like little it's I need to work on that. I think now that the movie's over, I can stop like just being behind my desk and just like nervous eating everything. That polar bear was like I think so the claws. I want to say like the claws in the head are from the actual polar bear prop they used on set.
Oh, really?
And they constructed this thing using parts from the actual polar bear. And that art piece is by Phil Shelley, which he sorry, I just read Caleb's comment about the E's and he ran out of E's. He's going to be selling that print on Tuesday. There's only 108 copies, I believe. I think there's a limited amount, and he is doing a special print run that he is signing. So if you want that poster, that's where you should get it. You should get it.
Do you know how much for?
I don't know, but I think I'm just going to buy it.
Yeah. Just don't look at the cost.
Yeah. Just
very cool.
Who is the artist again?
Phil Shelley. And I think it's just philshelley.com or Phil Shelley Creative. But you should definitely check that out. The poster's rad.
On Instagram.
There's all kinds of stuff.
Phil Shelley Creative. Yes. I found. So cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn on all my notifications.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And the
Very
Lost
cool.
Experience was there. They brought the bear. They brought these props and costumes and stuff. It was pretty cool.
So cool.
It was just a nice event. Hey, there's us. I have no
Hey.
recollection of taking that picture.
I don't either. So
Oh yeah, see, there's the backwards. You
I
can see
do.
the backwards 3.
Yeah, the backwards 3.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just blacked out everything before.
There's the red. The red E is my favorite one, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's cool.
What a
Nice
crazy
touch.
day. Oh, there we are.
And
There's Mark.
Mark's side of his head holding my phone.
Yeah. That's great. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Filing. She was
the life of the party.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I included who we got to interview on the red carpet. There's obviously some other people that were there that we didn't get to. And it was fine. Like, we didn't get to Bobby Moynihan or Malcolm or who played Mikhail again? What's his name?
Andrew Devoff.
Andy, yeah. Didn't get to talk to him, but everyone was amazing. Everyone was so kind. I was so awkward and forgot half the questions we wanted to ask, but you know, I of course wanted to like gush over everyone, but I had to refrain from doing that. Be like, I've been obsessed with you for 20 years, like since I was 11 years old. Yeah, but it was great. It was pretty cool to see all them. Oh, are these the videos? Yeah. Nice. Yeah, that was the.
There's Danny.
entrance.
She
There's
made
your head.
She made the cookies.
The big old polar bear.
Yeah, we had all this stuff laid out for everybody.
I didn't grab the bottle.
I didn't grab one either. That was from the Lost Experience, so I don't know if it was just an advertisement for them or what was inside. But I never grabbed one. She did give me a Halliburton case. It's a little tiny Halliburton case.
Oh, cute.
And you can open it
up.
Oh
my god, that's adorable.
And it's made for business cards. So if anybody wants to follow me, you can do that there. My business cards. So I'm like, oh, cool.
I only got a poster. I didn't know what was going on with this stuff. So like if it was for like the VIP baggers or anything. So
it was fun seeing those
They
posters.
might have also been gone by the time we
So we opted to make. I designed these posters obviously based on like Dharma Initiative products and stuff, but we wanted to do this one because it was like, oh, we can have people like sign them and it would really show up. And so it was fun seeing people walk around with like signatures all over it and stuff. They were pretty neat. I signed my fair share.
I have mine. I'm probably gonna frame it because I dig it.
It's very cool. Oh, yeah, just showing the marquee.
And
that's so fun. That's Michael down there.
Oh, that's what's in the bottle. Interesting.
Oh, what is it?
Build a lost museum. A QR code.
Okay, so that's the Lost Experience. Yeah, Tamara has a bunch of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. I forgot to share audio, but this is short. I don't think there's much to. But it's
there's not much. That was just at the beginning because, like, I didn't want to record too much of the.
We had asked Q&A. Bobby. We're like, "Hey, Bobby, do you want to do the Q&A?" And he's like, "Oh, I forgot to get back to you on that." He's like, "I'll be on it, but I don't want to conduct it." I'm like, "Okay." So we asked Hector, and I told Hector, I said, "We're gonna ask Bobby, but if he can't do it, do you want to do it?" He's like, "Count me in." And so
Hector was great.
Hector didn't know he was doing this Q&A until about 30 seconds before. I tapped him on the shoulder.
Oh my god, really?
On the shoulder, and I said, "You're up." And he's like, "All right, let's go." And he just walked up there with me.
Oh, he did such a great job.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Hector's interview, his whole interview is amazing. The dude knows how to talk. I don't know if his brain works so fast that the rest of the world slows down and he's able to come up with these thoughts and say things really thoughtfully, but he's really good at it. He's really good at it. And so when he took over that Q&A, it was like he's been practicing for months. No. He literally had like
that's amazing.
30 seconds before he walked up there, he found out that it was actually going to be him.
Dang. That's
He's
really
a good
cool.
dude. Hector's rad. Hector's so rad.
Everybody was
Cool.
really cool.
Yeah, everyone was so nice. So nice.
Yeah, no
Once
assholes.
again, if you haven't watched our coverage, go back, watch that. It's the second most recent live video because we had our stream on Wednesday about season 6 episodes. Yeah, everyone was super nice. So yeah, we talked to so many people, and more people than are in our thumbnail.
People that
Just
I never in my life would have expected that I would have been talking to. We talked to them.
yeah,
Right.
it's pretty
Freaking
cool.
wild.
My 11-year-old self was just screaming the entire time. And clearly that was the case because I blacked out, and I had asked Johnny, I was like, did we get to talk to Bobby? I can't remember. Like, I legit couldn't remember. And it wasn't just my ADHD.
Yeah.
So
Bobby's the sweetest too.
Yeah. We just what's his face? Brandon? Was that the guy? He was talking to him for a long time.
Oh yeah,
like,
the
"Dang
other
it."
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
the guy there that wasn't streaming on an iPhone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, thank you guys again for letting us do that. That was freaking awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Because I
pretty
didn't. That
cool.
was another thing. Like, I didn't know how all of that would work. I didn't. I know we
Yeah.
had a like limited
And I
amount of
understand
space.
that now
And I was
from
like, I don't
both
know
you
what
and
we can
Taylor
do.
saying that.
I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, we don't want to tell you no, but we want to make sure like if there were like crazy people there, they wouldn't like push you around and say like scram or something. Like we were like, you need to, I don't know. It was, we don't know. Taylor's never done anything like this. I've obviously never done anything like this. So it was all new to us. And it was like, I think if we were to do it again, we'd be able to like relax and like be like, okay, this is what we need. But it was like it was question marks across the board. You know, and then like, what if the movie glitches out? Like, then what do we do?
Oh my
Play
gosh.
it off on Vimeo? Like, you know what it like? I'm sitting there watching the movie and I'm like, what if something happens and it goes dark? Like, what is like? It's, every single second was anxiety. It was like anxiety. I think my beard is more gray, but again, everyone was so kind. Everybody enjoyed the movie, unless they didn't tell me, but they didn't have to tell me because it was on their faces, and that was the best part because we had a bunch of Lost fans who are like, can I do this? Can I do that? Can I do this? Can I go on the red carpet? Or can I bring in food? Can I bring in a bag? Can I bring stuff to sign? Are there going to be people to sign? And it's like, I'm like, I'm getting every question from everywhere. Taylor's getting the same question. Emily's getting the question. Everyone's getting the questions. And it's like, just show up. We're going to go watch a movie. That's all you need to know. And then if you, whatever you can do and get away with, go for it. You know,
it was like the perfect balance of formal and informal at the same time, especially with people's like outfits too. It was really cool to see what people were wearing, what Lost stuff they were wearing, who was wearing a Dharma jumpsuit.
The dress that looked like a Apollo bar wrapper.
Lost. Oh,
that one too.
I missed that.
Yeah. Someone had like a really form-fitting dress and it literally looked like an Apollo bar wrapper.
That's
that
really
like
cool.
It looked like it was like torn here and it was like it was amazing.
It was really cool.
Yeah. My mom finally got to meet Jorge, and what was fun was
I got to witness that. We got to witness that. That was so cute.
So Jorge went on our Fireball Island group text message chain and praised the movie to the rest of the guys. And I said, yeah, Jorge got to meet my mom, and I posted a picture, and then Michael Giacchino posted a picture of Jorge with his mom, and then my friend Andy posted a picture with Jorge and his mom. And so it was like, it just felt like it was just like
mommies love Jorge.
Yeah. So
I was gonna ask him a question about Fireball and be like, what's your favorite strategy, but we didn't get the chance to. That's okay.
I don't know if his
Next
favorite
time.
strategy is being a jerk, and he's been like, because I've been so busy. Like he's been like the reigning champion for the last 3 weeks because we didn't play last Sunday because I was busy and those guys were traveling around, and the week before again I was like, I don't remember what I was doing, but I was busy. But I think this Sunday we'll get a game going and we'll have to dethrone Corey. But it feels weird being on the other side for sure. There's so much anxiety leading up to it, and then to find out like, oh no, everything's gonna work out the way it should, and you can just like relax. And I've just been in bed like completely sore from tension and anxiety and stuff, and just it's not like we're done. It's not like we're done. We have Blu-rays to manufacture. We have festivals to screen at. We're doing the Cineplex.
Yeah, that's so exciting.
Canada around the place. I'm going to try to do a screening here in Orange County for like any of my friends that missed out and anybody in the area, and see where else we can go. I just got a text message while we're going from Mo from the company Mutant, who like produces Michael's records and stuff. He's like, okay, when can I see it? He's like, I want to see it on the big screen. Can you bring it to Austin? And I'm like, I think I would go to Austin if I could do a screening there. Like that seems like a cool place. So if there's any place I can take the movie to, it'll be awesome. We're possibly doing a UK screening. We're hoping to do like East Coast screenings. We want to make sure that in this next month and a half that we do as many theatrical screenings as we can, because there's nothing like watching this in a room full of people. Even the Monday screening was really nice. There was a lot of people at the Monday screening, and it was a party. Everyone wore like Hawaiian shirts, and we just all had a blast. Half of them had already seen the movie the night before, and so a lot of us were out late drinking and having a good time. So it was kind of nice to be like a nice calm, like kick back vibe. I wore shorts so that everyone could see my grandma's ankles that I that I acquired from her, and it was just like, I don't care, we're all family now. Like everybody felt like family there. It was great.
Definitely.
It was great.
Like
I'm so glad both of you made it. I really am.
Yeah, me too. It's especially for me, like these are the people who I grew up with. Like these communities, a lot of them that I've made over the years truly feel like my second family. Like anytime I have anything happen in my life, they're always the first people there to check in on me. They're always the first people to wish me happy birthday. I'm not gonna cry. It's this show, these communities, this documentary have meant the absolute world to me. And like becoming friends with you and watching you through this whole process, seeing how nervous you were, and then seeing you at the premiere and just seeing how excited everyone was. Like Martin's creative said in the chat, the atmosphere was palpable, and I think that's a testament to you guys and everyone that not only worked on the documentary but worked on the premiere, and every little aspect of it, every little detail, from the fish biscuits to the posters to the polar bear being there to even just like each person having their thing of popcorn. I really loved that. And just seeing everyone's outfits, like I said before, and not just seeing people that I may have already known or new people that I met, and then seeing everyone else interact with each other and being like, oh, it's so good to see you. Oh, it's so nice to meet you. And then interact with the celebrities or anyone who was in the documentary. It was pretty special, pretty magical. Yeah. Like I think I posted something in my story the next day, like my heart felt very full. Like it felt like my lost journey was complete in a way, from being my 11-year-old self begging my parents to let me watch it,
Yeah.
and they're like, okay, we'll record it on VHS, we'll make sure it's appropriate for you, because they were that strict. And then you know, you can watch it the next day, which, I mean, in terms of appropriateness, it just had to do with anything sexual, because violence was fine.
Yeah.
But
Greg
yeah,
Gumbert tree is okay.
yeah. Oh yeah, I watched every Moore movie as a child, so that was nothing. Yeah, it just felt like a full circle moment, and yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like I can't even put words to a lot of it, and I'm just like so proud of you guys, and I feel like the documentary itself was way beyond, like, I really didn't have any expectations. I think no matter what, I would have loved it, but I feel like it surpassed any expectations I had, and I think you guys just did such a incredible job covering so many aspects of Lost, like not just like the filming of the shows and the creators and the writers, but yeah, all the fans behind it, you know, the shit that happened last year. Like, I think you guys covered it, and so many amazing interviews. Like Evangeline's was so good, and you know how she described the finale, how she, like, I feel like she really got it and was able to articulate it so well that she was just the perfect
It's fun.
what's
What's
the
fun
word?
about her too, like any issues that you have with Kate, like the documentary, she says in the documentary, like, yeah, I had the same issues. You know, it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it just became
She
this
did.
big deal.
You
Um,
said like back in season 1 when I was like had my complaints, you're like, she might agree with you.
yeah, yeah. I'll tell a fun story. You might like
Okay.
this, Kayla. Johnny, you'll probably like it too. So during an interview, she talked about Kate and how she wasn't really kind of whatever, you know. Um, I let her know after the movie, and I don't know if I'm overstepping my bounds here, but I said, I really like the Hobbit movies, and she was like, I'm like, what? I can like the Hobbit movie. She's like, yeah, it wasn't what I kind of wanted out of it, but I told her, I said,
Yeah.
listen, I said, here's the thing. It gave me an excuse to be able to revisit that world, and
Hmm.
whether you think it's good, whether you think it's bad or whatever, it doesn't matter, because any chance that I got to have to go back to Middle Earth is like worth whatever is presented to us.
Totally.
And so she was like, okay. She's like, that was a good way of thinking it. And she like kind of agreed with me that it was okay. That, I'm just like, yeah. She's a massive Tolkien fan. She's a fan of the books, and that's one of the reasons why she kind of came out of retirement to do that. And
Yeah.
so she was just a sweetheart. When we started getting like deeper into the roster of the main cast, and we started like when Josh Holloway agreed, and I drove up this to Central California, and Taylor drove down just for that one interview.
Hmm.
When we started getting deeper into the roster, I told Taylor, I'm like, this is kind of, unless ABC starts like doing something, which we hadn't heard, and we would have heard if ABC was doing something because we had so
Hmm.
many people, this is going to be like the definitive Lost documentary. And I felt like it was kind of a bit of pressure to be able to deliver on that.
Yeah.
But the way that Taylor and Steve and all of our cinematographers shot the thing, and the editing, like, I'm like, oh man, like this might be like, it might be a long time for someone else to come in and try to tell this story. I don't think they'll do it as good as we were able to do. I
I don't
think
think
it
so
is the
either.
definitive documentary about Lost. I mean, yeah, there's stuff out there like John Bernstein did with the DVDs. He gave a
Hmm.
lot of stuff while the filming was going on. He got an interview with every single person in the cast. But as far as a documentary that came out like 20 years after the pilot aired on the day, which was a
Yeah.
goal from day one, our first conversation was, if we want to have it come out on September 22nd, 2024, we have to start now. and that's what we set out to do, and we hit it, and it's a miracle
Yep, fucking
that
did
happened. And I think it is the definitive documentary about Lost. And I'll say this, and I think you guys will agree, this is required viewing for any fan of Lost, whether you're a diehard or just a casual fan. I believe that this is required viewing, and I'm not just saying that because I really like to make money.
You're biased,
but I honestly believe, like, especially after that night, hearing the stories of people, just hearing like Caleb's story and where he was at in his life when Lost started and where he is now, and being able to see that arc and being able to hear other stories about people like Karen or the Ozawas their whole, like, kind of their world revolves around this network TV show. And it's like, I think that's important and fun. And it's something I feel like it is required viewing. I feel like it is. I think it should be. Yeah. And then also Hulu should pick us up and give us lots of money, because it is a true indie. It is a true indie documentary. Like, this was, crowdfunded and money out of our pockets. And, it's a labor of love. And I think it's all there on screen. I'm so happy you guys liked it. I really am. I know, I understand that you could be like biased and stuff because your buddy produced it, but
honestly, I've seen some other
fan documentaries don't look this good. And
no.
It looks really
sound
good.
This good.
Like, if you have Daniel Day Kim at the beach, like, he better be lit right.
Yeah.
And the wind was blowing over our flags and our lights and stuff. And I was just like, oh my God. Like, I threw my backpack on the lights so that it wouldn't fall over on Daniel Day Kim. It was still scrappy.
Face.
Still scrappy, but I think our scrappiness was infectious because,
it didn't seem scrappy at all. That's the funny thing. It seemed very professional, and, it's definitely something that I would watch on Hulu and Netflix, and I would have no idea that it was scrappy. It's funny too that you say, like, it'll be the definitive, because I think a lot of people think that there's just one documentary for a lot of things, because I mean there are, but then I think especially nowadays there are like so many times now I feel like Hulu, Netflix, or like someone else will come out with a documentary about the same thing at the same time, and I'm like, why? And pretty much they're the same thing, or maybe just slightly different, or they have, one person and the other documentary doesn't have that person, or it's kind of takes this perspective. It seems to happen a lot these days. So I think for this foreseeable future it definitely will be. And
and I'm hoping
no one else can say they did it on the 20th anniversary, so you guys got that too.
And if anybody sees the documentary thinking that they're going to go make their own Lost one, they're going to have to make it look pretty good. It's going to have to look like it's going to have to look better than ours, which I think is a tough thing to do. And also, like, is Josh going to go do another interview? Is Evie going to go do another interview?
Evie how are you going to beat those interviews?
Evie watched the documentary and she called it wonderful. Like, so what do you, Jorge likes it, so why retread when you got this thing that turned out so good? I'm super proud of it. I'm super grateful to Taylor and Emily, Joe, who also helped us out, all the backers from Indiegogo. Like, there's no way we could have done half this stuff, traveled to Hawaii and stuff, like, unless we had some people backing us. We're hoping that they're a little patient as we get some of this stuff out there theatrically, and we can start getting digital copies when that's over with, sooner than later, hopefully. But it's good. I'm hoping that people want to see it so bad that we can, like, go to places and show it. So
I'm sure they will, especially from us talking about it too.
As someone who has not watched the show until this year,
right,
I will agree that it is required viewing for any fan of the show. 'Cause
Well,
it
for
was
you,
great.
Johnny, like luckily for you, Johnny, we in between seasons where it's like almost a year between seasons, we would just watch DVD extras to get our loss fixed. So a lot of the information is stuff that we probably knew, but you were getting for the first time. Like, did you know Michael Keaton was going to be Jack?
No.
Yeah, great. We all knew
No.
that. Like every Lost fan knows that. But
Yeah.
and even Evangeline says in the doc, "Oh, the fans are all saying, oh, I knew that."
Yeah.
Yep. We were.
Yeah, and so it's like one of those things where it's like I'm glad like you like just finished season 6 like days before you got to see this thing, because you probably got the most out of it as far as like crazy weird facts and information that, you know, some of us knew that the polar bear was just like a dumb stuff looking thing that they flung, you know. But
the shot you had of them just throwing it was hilarious.
Yeah, it was so good.
And everybody that you interviewed seemed to have a great time talking about it. That was like the thing.
Yeah.
Like Josh seemed like he was having a great time talking to you guys about the show. Evie sounded like she was. Everybody sounded like they were having a blast revisiting their time on the show with you and Taylor.
I think because there wasn't really a lot of pressure. So when Josh came in to the studio where we shot his interview, it was me, Taylor, and Emily. Like we had like all the cameras set up and all the sound equipment, all professional stuff, but it was just us three. I think the most crew we had was on JJ's, which was let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think 6 people. There was one still photographer. I was there, 2 camera operators, and then Taylor and stuff. And so like that's it. Like they weren't coming into a situation where they had to deal with a lot of crew, so they got to kind of know us a little bit beforehand.
More personal.
It got comfortable because they weren't. It didn't feel like they were performing. They were just having a one-on-one conversation with Taylor. So it's a real comfortable place to be. It's one of those things where like everybody going into it had a hard out. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'll come in, I'll do this interview, but I got to be out by this time. Bobby was like our 3rd interview, and he's like, I got to be out by 4. I can't be here no later than 4. And then come like 4:15, he's still showing us pictures from his honeymoon. So, oh, look at this. Look at this. Because
those are great.
Going into it, they don't know what they're getting into, so they're like, "Oh boy, let me just get this over with, and I'll just give myself a hard out, so I don't have to like drag this on too long." And then they would show up and be like, "Oh, these guys are fun and cool, and they're talking about the thing I like, and that's all I want to do is talk about this thing I like forever." And Bobby gave his long interview, and then once the camera shut down, he kept talking about more Lost stuff. And so it was like, it was great. So even like Evie, who had a hard out, and Josh actually had a legit hard out because he had to like pick up kids from school. But it was one of those things where like up until the very last second, he was signing stuff for us. So pretty much every interview we have stuff signed for like mystery boxes for Indiegogo backers. So
that's
they're
awesome.
going to get rewarded. All the backers are going to get rewarded with, you know, the stuff we put out there. It's just going to be a little while, but it's cool.
It'll be worth it.
And yeah, Wednesday we had our weekly meeting, and we're talking about all the stuff we need to do now. You know, it's not over yet.
What's the next steps?
The next steps, I mean, we're finishing up the cave wall.
Oh, I'm just saying that's what you're talking about. Sorry.
No, but it's like manufacturing DVDs. Like what's the cover going to be? You know, we got to make them. Taylor's got to cut together all the extras and stuff, and we need to run it by a few people to make sure that they're cool with us. Putting in extra stuff. Like there's a few people that are like, I want to make sure I see what you're doing before you put it out there. So I make sure like you're not putting me like out of context. And so some people just want approval. Like, you know, so we have to do that. We have to get, we have 2 festivals in October. I think we're trying to get more. We just have stuff. We have this Cineplex screenings in Canada in November 3rd. I don't know if I'm going to Canada for that, but I mean, if the opportunity arises and they want to fly me out, like I'm going to Canada.
Where in Canada again is it?
it's all over. It's like in 30 theaters or
Oh,
something.
That's right.
Yeah, kind of cool. I wish we had something like that here. Like if we could do a Fathom events or something, that would be really neat.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, again, like just gonna try and see if we can do some screenings around, some major areas where people can get to. That'd be great.
Totally. That'd
I
be
want
really
everybody
cool.
to see it. I want every Lost fan to see
I
it.
do too. Yeah, I think we've covered just about everything.
Yeah.
I guess really quickly, is there anything you would have done differently, I guess? I feel like we've gone over like all the highlights.
Yeah, for sure. But you know what? I'm really proud of what we got.
Yeah.
It's a tough process for sure. It's not anything like I thought it was going to be. I thought my involvement was going to be fairly minimal, but it's like there's aspects to it where it's like, when Taylor reached out to me, he knew that I knew like Michael Giacchino and Jorge were friends, and that would be a great jumping off point. That's a great way to start, because as the production went on, things snowball, and if you can get Michael Emerson, he'll get you Terry O'Quinn. If you could get Evie, she'll get you Liz Mitchell. If you can get Fred Lane, he'll get you MC Gainey. And it's like, MC Gainey's amazing. I'm so glad we got MC Gainey.
He was
and
great.
so we kind of knew that, or I'm assuming Taylor knew, like, okay, Ralph's a good starting point because he has some connections to the Lost World. But then, like, once we were done, not once we were done shooting, but in between shoots, there was things I could do, like graphics for Indiegogo, graphics for posters, for temporary teaser posters, which have now been altered and might be regular posters, and working on like stuff like the tickets and the marquees and the interior signs. So it's like there's always stuff for me to do, and then like overseeing the Discord, overseeing Twitter, while he oversees Instagram.
There's so many things. I feel like you guys wore so many hats with this.
Yeah. And I don't know how many times I'm in the credits, but I think I got credits for like sound, music editing, or like there's all kinds of stuff. I'm probably in there a bunch, but it really was scrappy. It really was just, at most at any shoot, 5 people.
Wow.
So I had my bin, which had a first aid kit. I had ice cold waters in a little cooler. I had snacks, paper towels, lint rollers, and tissues. And like I got
like
tissues and
literally everything.
Yeah. And it was cool because it's like, you know what? Evie got choked up during one of her things, and I'm like, handed her the box of Kleenex. She used it, and I was like, just got to be prepared and like kind of just be like, okay, people are going to want something snacky, so I got like crackers and cookies. I knew that Steve, our camera operator, liked green Gatorade, which is great because I like green Gatorade. I know that Taylor needed something with caffeine in it, so I'd always have like those things and then water. So it was like literally like, okay, we're going to go to this thing, and there's going to be someone here that wants to talk to us. We need to make sure they're comfortable and everything they have set. So like, roll of paper towels, and the Clorox wipes, and just like I had this box of like things with like extra power chargers and extra. It was, but it's how we got stuff done.
So prepared. Yeah. You guys
Emily DeRaven wanted water and had a canned water on ice, and I poured it into a cup. And if you look close, you can see that cup in a couple shots. And I'm like, I put water in that cup. Then it was ice cold. So it's just basically, you make people comfortable. Also, we would have like magazines and trading cards and action figures that we would take each day, because it's like, today's Emily, so she's on the cover of EW. She has these trading cards, she has this action figure, this bobblehead, and it's like we just lay them out, put a couple Sharpies, and it happens to be right next to the release form for her to sign. And so she would go sign the release form and then sign all the other stuff. And
so smart. I would not.
But it's like things. Yeah, like we got so much stuff signed that we created a new perk like maybe a month or two ago for mini mystery boxes that nobody, like we didn't even get to advertise, because by the time we put them up an hour later, like all like 80 of them were gone.
Dang.
Before we even were able to tell anybody. The Indiegogo backers got the notification that those were up. And so it's like, okay, you're going to enjoy, like, I got a couple things signed just for myself. I probably showed this already, but Elizabeth eventually Lily signed this for me. Cool. This Eevee one, that's not going in the mystery box. That one's mine. And this one,
that's mine.
Nice.
So cool. So cool.
Everybody, and I've said this before, is the sweetest. Everybody we interviewed was so sweet.
They really were. I mean, everyone on the red carpet too, I feel like was a great reflection of that as well. Yeah. All right. Well, we've been here for a while.
I know.
Yeah.
I feel like we could talk about this forever. Thank you so much again, Ralph, for joining us. Thank you for sharing all these experiences. Thanks again for letting us do the interviews on the red carpet, and just, so proud of you. And it's been so cool to watch you throughout the entire process, see how nervous you were before, and just see what an incredible result in both the documentary and the premiere itself. I feel like it just went so well. And
thank you for
anything you want to say, Johnny?
Coming on for every season that we talked about. And
that
just
too.
for generally being awesome.
Thanks. It's one of those things where it's like I'm ready. I'm ready to be done talking about Lost, at least for a little while. I know I'll have to do it screenings, and just everybody here, head over to gettinglost.com. Find out where we're screening, because chances are we may be screening in your area. It's a link tree, and I have it all laid out. Yes, hopefully. And even if it's kind of far for you, just like give it a shot. Go check it out. I think if you're a Lost fan, you'll enjoy it. And then rate us, review us on Letterboxd. Yeah, I don't know how
I
to
pulled
get
it up. Your 1.5 star review has been removed.
Great.
Good.
It's the one that made me mad.
Thank God.
And then there's like another 1-star review, and I'm
too.
like, there's a few on there where I'm just like, you haven't seen the movie.
No, the lowest one that is currently showing on Letterboxd is you have 2 4-star reviews. There's nothing lower than that.
Yeah, Jeremy Panhorst gave us a 4.5, I think. And I'm like, come on, man. Give me an extra half star for letting you into the premiere. Like, okay, that's fine. It's fine. Yeah, I don't want people to just put phony reviews. I want their honest opinion, but it does make me happy when it's a 5-star. I feel like we did something right.
You did. You earned it. It wasn't just a miracle. You guys earned it. You worked your butts off.
It was a lot of hard work. I think hitting the deadline was a miracle. I don't know how we did that, but the fact that we did it is nuts. I can't believe it's been 5 days. Like, it feels like both a lifetime ago,
a long time.
But it was what a day. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you for everything. I'm like, Let's geek the F out of here. Everyone go. If you want to check out the documentary, we've already told you that. If you're watching with us live, thank you for being here. If you're watching on the replay, thanks for watching. Make sure to smack that like, smack that subscribe, smack that bell icon. Go check out CasinoSkunk and all of the good shit that he does. You have your Lanterns Live that you've been doing, Ralph, as well.
I'm loving it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's mostly there to make me happy and to not think about Lost for like a half hour. Like, it really does.
As it should be.
Yeah.
Love.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
All right, everyone. Have a good evening, day, night, whenever you're watching this. Thanks for geeking the F out with us, and we'll see you in another life, brother. And now we dance out.
I almost
break down. You started.
This is the part where